Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around and tuning in for our closing keynote address. This session will be an interview between Mary Long of the University of Tennessee, specifically the Global Supply Chain Forum, and Bring's Chief Revenue Officer, Tamir Gottfried. If I can ask both Mary and Tamir to please turn on your webcams. Excellent, thank you both. And I will first pass it on to Mary, who is our interviewer. Mary, you can take it away from here and introduce yourself to the group.
Great, thanks, Pinto. Well, it is a pleasure to be with you today. Formerly, I was a senior supply chain vice president with Domino's, and now I am a pracademic. I teach our capstone course to our supply chain seniors, and I work on projects related to logistics and digitalization. So I could not be more thrilled to be here today with Bring and Tamir. So Tamir, I'm gonna ask you to tell us a bit more about yourself and Bring.
Sure, thank you, Mary. So first, it's a pleasure to be here, and then I'm so happy to speak with you, Mary. It's always exciting. Tamir Gottfried, obviously overseeing Bring commercial operations globally. But I think more interesting is a little bit about Bring, and basically Bring is a technology company that's focused on fulfillment and delivery operations. We have a data-led platform that helps retailers scale up and optimize for profitable and unified commerce operations. Basically, enterprises such as Albertsons, Panera, Party City AutoZones, and many others use our solutions to rapidly launch and scale delivery models, whether it's new business channels that they're going after or improve the customer experience. Essentially, everybody's looking to do that while improving operational efficiency.
You know, you mentioned many of the companies of retailers and delivery providers. 2020 has been such a tumultuous year for all of us. As a last mile logistics technology provider, how have you seen retailers change their approach?
It's been an interesting year. We've seen definitely a lot of unexpected events happening in 2020, and obviously that impacted the way companies do business. If they never did business online, well, they found themselves in a new reality, right? And a lot of businesses were frankly taken by surprise. Some considered going into technology investments to help them with off-premise dining or online shoppers and so forth. And we've seen a lot of them try to overthink those strategies. And then when something like COVID hit us, they were basically far behind some of the other retailers that already actually did something about it. So basically we've seen a shift going from retailers, companies to from trying to do it smart and really slow and measured to pretty much just going and scaling, right, and moving forward. And we're seeing the growing demand for unified and delivery and fulfillment, basically using a single technology to manage the different business units that they have or different revenue streams. Whether it's delivering through third parties or own fleets or curbside or BOPIS, right, click and collect and so forth. At the end of the day, a lot of people were talking about omni-channels, and now in this new reality, they don't really have a choice. They need to have a unified way to really address these different things. And if we take a look at today's case study, right, the case study that we're going to be talking about, where basically we're helping a leading grocery convenience retailer and in their market penetration. So, you know, originally when they were starting out, their market was relatively mature with about 31% penetration. So they're a bit late movers into the market when they started out, but they were in a very unique position. Their position, because they focus on convenience shopping and because their retail locations, the sizes are relatively small, they were able to position themselves and really have strong presence within cities and address the specific needs of shoppers that were really looking for something convenient and fast. So their growth strategy was again really relied on the more agile approach and customers centricity around it, and to help manage costs, they primarily focused on engaging third-party delivery fleets when they launched. So at the end of the day, we've seen, especially in the last year, with all this has changed and the rise in COVID, they maintained their focus on the customer experience, but internally, they shifted their focus from learning and adopting to rapidly scaling their delivery offerings.
Interesting. That is a really great insight. You know, you talked at the beginning about how the market had moved from this cautious approach, right, to that was focused on optimization toward this more focused, scalable, rapid deployment. Can you give us some examples? So, you know, talk about how this played out for that retailer and expand on that even more. We want to go further.
Sure, sure. So, you know, initially they really focused on a single fleet. This was a contracted bicycle delivery company, delivering out of a couple of a dozen retail locations, all in major cities, and focused on quality and customer experience, right? And this retailer's team used our dispatcher app to track, dispatch, and route the deliveries. The fleet also use their dispatch app to track and manage their drivers. The drivers use their driver app to help them through the delivery process. And while the dispatchers could actually track and communicate with the drivers and so forth. And now when COVID hit, all that evolved, right? And they shifted to focus more on efficiency and scalability. They needed to roll out to hundreds of locations virtually overnight. To support this. They transitioned to fully automated and dispatch routing. They couldn't base it on manual routing anymore, not at scale. They really had to fine tune their dispatching priorities and what goes to which fleet and how is that managed. Essentially, they also had to add additional delivery providers. They couldn't really just rely on one source that is focused on major cities. They have to go across multiple sources, mainly focused on the crowdsourced type of fleets for on-demand delivery. And without automation, they wouldn't have been able to scale so quickly, right? So again, automated and tweak the delivery flows to enhance for the scalability, and on the bottom end, it's maintaining profitability, because as we know, a lot of companies today are struggling to achieve profitability when it comes to the delivery business. And here is a retailer that was based on their brick and mortar business and essentially had to shift overnight to focus 100% on a delivery, on the delivery operations. So again, really exciting that they had the technology in place, but now instead of trying to continue fine-tune to perfection, they realized they just need to scale this overnight and then continue to adopt and adapt.
Okay, great. So that definitely sounds like a major substantial strategy shift there. How did this impact their operations, and what did you learn together, and how did you adapt?
Yeah, so there's a lot of examples to talk about how did they adapt and how their operations shift. So if we consider some examples, and again, remember, this is ramping up very quickly, right? It's essentially a business that they were expecting to get over a 3-year period essentially happened in short several months, right? So how do you do that? So some of the learnings that they got from it is essentially alcohol delivery, right? If we're just taking that, for example, so it's needing to automate the age verification process, right? For alcohol and delivery and cigarettes delivery. It's the reverse logistics. So when you can't deliver on alcohol and cigarettes because it's a minor there, how do you bring that back to the store? You need to make sure that you carry that back. Now, when it's not your own drivers, it's a big challenge, right? So there is that component of that. So essentially, you have to make sure that those deliveries are really meeting the regulatory compliance, right? On another example could be that when the drivers arrive too early or too late, the data is really key here. Some fleets tend to send drivers on a moment's notice, other needs more time, right? So the difference between on-demand and planned routes. So we looked at the data, and it clearly showed that the ideal timing for notifying each fleet as to when to come and pick something up, because obviously arriving too late, sometimes too early, I mean, sometimes is not good either. You don't want to crowd the stores with drivers. You don't want to have drivers waiting for you. It impacts not only your operations, but also your partners' operations and their profitability as well. So you have to be responsible when you do that. We looked at the poor process adherence, right? So the drivers seem to be used to do manual processes and kind of, again, go by, pick something up, and just drive their own routes. So it's how do you optimize these routes? How do you make sure that they follow the right routes? How do you make sure that they're really adhering to your process and not only adhering to your process, but also making sure that the functionality that you're providing in the driver apps are actually enabling them to have an easier day, because think of these drivers, they're loaded with deliveries, right? So how do you do that? So we conducted the field interviews and adjusted the processes to fit these different needs. We fine-tuned these processes together with them. We also looked at visibility in that sense, which was key, because you want to have visibility not only to provide it to your customers that are waiting for these goods anxiously, but also because you want to make sure that it's a third-party fleet and a driver that essentially can do many other deliveries apart from your business. So how do you make sure that they still meet your SLAs that you promised to the customer, right? So that visibility and adherence to your routes and your needs are important. And the last example on how they adapt is the scalability, right? Is going from manual dispatching and then they essentially moving to a completely automated dispatching, and then having optimized routes, and those optimized routes, you start learning how can you batch orders together to take advantage of these drivers, and how do you scale that headcount or the fleets when it's not yours, right? So again, a lot of things that were looked at and learned, and we use data to continuously optimize as they scale up in their operations.
You can see so much learning in this slide relative to how you're practicing and helping companies practice agility in this space that's so complicated, so many moving pieces and parts. So this is great. I'm wondering, how do you measure the success of a program like this that's so interconnected? So what KPIs,
Yeah, it's a great question. And as we know, it's all about the data. And like I said, we have a data-led platform. What does that mean? It means that you actually have to look at the data and you have to have a way of tracking it, and not only tracking and collecting it, but actually using it, right? Getting the insights. But when it comes to measuring and last mile performance, we essentially look at both leading indicators and lagging indicators, right? So leading indicators address the business's future performance. Are they going to grow or decline? While lagging indicators will speak to the business's recent performance. Did they grow or decline, right? In this case, the planned lagging indicators became irrelevant. Obviously, due to the sheer fact that they experienced that rapid growth, right? 3-year growth in a matter of several months. So they were only able to address this growth as opportunity. Because they looked at their leading indicators, put them aside and said, okay, what are we doing? How are we doing this right? And for that, the most important KPIs is essentially looking at volumes, revenues, efficiency, customer experience, and so forth. And when we're looking at the specific retailer for 2020, if they look at their revenue growth, they moved from virtually 0 to 100 million in 1 year, right? When shoppers realized that their local convenience format for grocery shopping, and they had items that they needed and they could deliver quickly and reliably, their average cart rate value tripled, right? It's something that they used to just want maybe milk and eggs, and suddenly they can see they can get milk, eggs, cigarette, a wine bottle. Realize that they can essentially not have to go to the grocery store to buy their meat or whatever products for dinner, but maybe just the items that they're missing. I'm just missing, I don't know, salad to go with my steak. so they can just
Right.
ask for those specific items. But again, so it helped grow the value of the cart. But essentially it drove to about 22% growth in the first half of the year alone. Right? Their customers loved the speed and convenience. We saw that they automating the delivery flows and essentially automating the dispatching to the optimal fleet. It's not just the dispatch to any fleet. You have to dispatch to the correct fleet, that they have the available drivers, that they're nearby, and so forth. So that resulted essentially in 40% faster deliveries. And I think about 40% faster deliveries. It's earning them an average of 4.5 stars, for their ratings for their customers, while competitors were with a 2-week backlog on delivery orders. So they had an amazing opportunity here, and with customers being anxious, to get their deliveries, and then usually they pick up the phone and call you and ask you where's your order. Now that they can actually track it on their phone, they saw that 60% of the shoppers actually use that application to track their deliveries, and that helped reduce or drive the lower cost from where's my order. And again, paying that against somebody who's operating in that space, you're looking at a 50% reduction of just where's my order type of calls. And last, but also very critical, is operational efficiencies, right? You need to make sure that you can do this at scale and do this still while making some kind of margin. So we saw that the delivery not only improved the revenues and the customer experience, but actually decreased their overhead. Automating their dispatching saved an equivalent of $3 million in manpower. Furthermore, intelligent auto dispatching to the fleets, the right fleet selection, further reduced the cost nearly 25%, right, and allowing them to deliver more, better, faster, with less resources. So that was a big plus.
Yeah. It definitely, I could listen to this story over and over again. There are so many different places we could go and ask questions. It's really been a crazy year, hasn't it? I'm wondering, from your perspective, where does this take us going forward? What's on tap for Q4 and 2021? Paint the picture of the future.
Adding stores, more stores, and more stores. So they're actually looking at adding 800 more retail locations, right? They're adding additional brands. So they have their convenience business, but they also have other businesses as well, whether it's pharmaceuticals or other goods that they sell. So they're looking into actually unifying all that technology into a single omni-channel experience, right? So again, their entire ecosystem. They're looking at expanding. We talked about the retail orders, the orders purchased in the store now to get delivered as well. So if we go, hopefully post-COVID and in 2021,
right.
So now, how can you use that service for customers that are shopping in your stores? And think of cities, right? In a city, you don't necessarily have a car. You go into the store and you don't want to carry big bags home with you. So how do you deliver that? And so that is also coming up, and this is something we do with other customers, that they're looking to leverage that same experience and technology that brings. And more fleets as you scale, as you go bigger, as you add stores, as you enter more markets and more cities, you need to add fleets, because there's not a single fleet out there that can serve all your markets, and more so have available drivers when high demand hits. They're looking to go greener, so they started with bicycles, electric bicycles and everything. They're looking to continue grow that, and they're actually looking into potential robots and other types of businesses that or fleets that they can use, other functionalities. And now that they collected a lot of data, there's a lot of things that can be done with machine learning and AI, right? So we're looking to actually use a lot of that out of the platform to continue to drive better operational efficiencies, and understanding more about their operations, their customers, and they continuing to optimize, right?
Such an exciting future for all of this. When you look back over everything that this partnership, what you've learned, what are your key takeaways?
Yeah, so there's a lot to be taken away from, especially
right.
When we're thinking post-COVID, we will see a drop in demand, right? There is going to be some drop in demand for deliveries for sure, but but a lot of the new customer expectations and customers' behavior will stick, right? So
Mhm.
it's definitely going to be higher than previously impacted. So what are the key takeaways that the companies can take from this? Well, number one, I mentioned earlier, it's the fact that companies before COVID were studying whether they want to invest in technology. So a key takeaway is don't overthink things, just go out there and try, right? They make the decisions, move fast, basically jump into the deep end of the pool, right? Don't dip your toes in the pool, jump in there. The world has changed and you need to make those decisions and apply technology to help you with your delivery operations or fulfillment operations. Anticipate the need for change, right? We talked about that in this specific use case, they started with a single fleet and they saw that as they scale and they grow, they'll need to adapt to multiple fleets, different fleets. Some fleets specialize in some area, other fleets in other area. Some fleets will only carry maybe one bag, another fleet will carry 10 bags, and so forth. So anticipate the changes and get the right fleets into your ecosystems.
Mhm.
Make the business case, right? So yes, move fast, but at the same time, you have to make the business case for this model. And a lot of companies will find that there is revenues to be generated from different parts of their business. How can they drive traffic from maybe their web to their apps? How can they drive customers from doing delivery, which is fairly costly, to using curbside? So again, some things from there. And again, it's not just let's do it, right? It's not just to do it, but how do you do it fast, smart, efficiently, and eventually orchestrate your entire operation and connect the dots so that you can continue doing so efficiently and conscious of your cost and obviously the potential to drive revenues.
Right. I bet that I know I need to encourage all of you to use the chat and put your questions in chat, because I know that you'll be answering questions during Q&A too. And I wondered at the end of this, when you think about, everyone's probably wondering, what brands are you supporting? And so if you could talk a bit too more to this, what types of brands does Bring support?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. Look, at our core, we're a technology provider that helps companies, enterprises start, scale fast, and basically tap into potential revenues and efficiencies, right? While considering customer experience. And when we're looking at that, we have some customers in different areas. When we talk about retailers in the States, we have customers like Hy-Vee, Albertsons, AutoZone, Panera Bread, and others. We have companies like Coca-Cola with the bottlers and the distribution models that need to adapt and change as well. So these are some of the exciting customers that we have on our roster, and many more. We have also the technologies I mentioned in the case study about some of the fleets actually using the technology as well, and our platform is used also for logistics providers, and we have customers like Seco, LSO, Day and Ross, and as well as some tier one LSPs as well that use our platform to enhance the experience for their shippers as well as the consignees. And when you're thinking of retail and logistics, it's kind of the demand and supply, right? The retail can't exist without the logistics. Logistics need the demand from the retailers for their services. So it goes hand in hand, and it's really interesting to see how our technology addresses both ends of the spectrum and really marries the two and allows them to work very well together. Some retailers that we serve are big and bulky retailers or big box retailers that have big and bulky items, and they either have their own fleets and they need to serve those customers, or they tap into logistics providers as those that I mentioned. But essentially, yeah, our customers use our technology with a lot of functionality that comes built into it and can rapidly be deployed for curbside delivery, click and collect and whatnot, while others use our technology to really help them improve different parts of their business and adopt it in ways, given the flexibility and robustness of the tool that we have of the system, that allows them to do that.
I'm sure you have given everyone a lot to think about. Thank you so much. It's been such a delight to talk with you about this, and I'm sure we've left a lot of food for thought for people to ask questions on, for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
Thank you both for a great discussion. I thought that had a lot of information, a great engagement and chemistry between the two of you. So I do hope that our attendees, just a reminder, you can feel free and contact Tamir directly through the event platform as well. Feel free to shoot him a direct message, a connection request, and I'm sure that Tamir will be more than happy to field any thoughts or comments or questions from there. You can also view Bring's virtual booth as well in the sponsors and exhibitors tab. There is a lot more information on their virtual booth, so feel free to request that information directly through there. And that brings a wrap to the first day of Home Delivery World. I hope everyone had a great time today, and we look forward to a great day too tomorrow. We will start the keynotes promptly at 9 a.m. Sharp, and we will start with ProLogis. So thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Tamir and Mary, for a great session.
Thank you.
Thank you.